Russo's brand members, please put your hands together for our very, very, very special guest, Miss Izzy. A lot of people already know who you are, but for those of the people that don't, or in the music world that listen to this podcast, we need to know who you are, where you come from, where you hail from, and how you began. And I just want to talk about like how much of an entrepreneur and a hustler that you are. Let's hear about your story. So training for wrestling.
Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know, my name is Izzy, hello, or known as Izzy Mania. So a lot of people know me as the Bayley Girl. You know, I was seen various times on NXT with Bayley. I was that little girl in the front row with the side ponytail dressed up as Bayley. I was seen on NXT TakeOver Respect when Sasha Banks stole my headband. Yes, that was me. That was the girl bawling her eyes out. But as I grew older, I wanted to pursue this dream of being a pro wrestler. So I started to train in the ring. I had my first match at 11 against Effie. That blew up in a crazy and strange way. And then I decided to start my own show called The Hot Tag with your girl Izzy, where I preview various upcoming shows, so like NXT and AEW. So yeah, that's kind of me. I live in the beautiful Orlando, Florida, and really the dream is to be in the WWE one day, either as a broadcaster, that's kind of like my plan B, or as a pro wrestler in the ring holding the women's championship.
Take us back to like, I don't want to know how old you are right now. I hate when people ask that stuff. I got no time for that. But you said you were like a little kid. Let's talk about that because that's huge.
Yeah, so a lot of people know me as the Bayley Girl. So I used to go to NXT. Well, I still go to NXT, I should say. I was known to be her number one fan. You know, I would go to these shows. I would dress up as her. And a lot of people have started to notice this. And, you know, she would always give me her headband in the front row. It became a whole thing when she won the NXT Women's Championship and returned to Full Sail, where NXT was being held. She brought me into the ring, and that was kind of like the first explosion of it.
Okay.
Then NXT TakeOver Respect, Sasha Banks stole my headband and kind of mocked me a little bit, and I was sobbing as an 8-year-old. I was sobbing, and that was kind of really the big moment. Like I was known as that's kind of how I got my name. I'm the Bayley Girl. But then I started to like, you know. Bayley went to the main roster, and so I couldn't go to every show. So I started to, you know, think about how I wanted to become a pro wrestler. You know, I was like, this is what I want to do. But how do I keep my name around, and how do I stay relevant? So I said, all right, I love to talk about wrestling. Why not just start my own show and kind of create this plan B for myself? Because I'm always going to have this chance of having this career-ending injury. So, you know, why don't I start broadcasting? So I started my own show called The Hot Tag with your girl Izzy. I preview upcoming shows like NXT and AEW, and I get some really cool interviews with some incredible people in the pro wrestling industry. So that's kind of how I started. You know, the Bayley Girl was kind of like my first step in everything. And right now it's broadcasting, but my main goal is to become a professional wrestler. I want to be in WWE one day. You know, I want to do all of the history-making things that we've seen throughout the years.
It's called The Hot Tag.
Yes, The Hot Tag with your girl Izzy. You know, I preview NXT and AEW. It's so much fun. I love to do it. It's a fun show.
Now, and I see you like outside of the ring places. Like, are you going, because you're in Orlando, so are you going to matches? Are you going to other matches in other cities? Is it just strictly Orlando? Like, where are you covering things at?
Yeah, so I first started only at Full Sail because that's where NXT used to be before COVID. So I would do my previews right outside of the arena right before the show. And I would say, all right, tonight we're going to see this and this. You know, tune in, make sure you join me and everything. And then I started to do it at my house due to COVID because, you know, I couldn't go to NXT. You know, there was no fans. And then I got into AEW, which is kind of like a mind-blowing thing because nobody ever expected me to get into AEW. I was always like I was like a kid who didn't want to eat their vegetables, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna get into it. But I tried it, and I was like, okay, this isn't bad. Like, I'm gonna do this. This is so much fun, and it's a lot of fun to cover 2 different shows. So I started Started to do my videos at my house, which is why I have my backdrop right behind me. I use this backdrop a lot. And then with NXT opening back up to the fans, I started to go to the Capitol Wrestling Center, and I do my previews at home, and I'll post them at noon. And then at night, I'll do live records from NXT, and I'll post them. So it's kind of like Izzy's intuition, as I like to call it. Then for AEW events, I'll go to Jacksonville when they were in Jacksonville there, and I'll do my live coverage. But it's very rarely that I'll travel for shows for my coverage. I feel like I haven't really traveled for a show for my media and broadcasting my show, The Hot Tag. I feel like my first one is going to be All Out. I really want to do the post-show media scrum. So it's probably going to be the first time I travel for the Hot Tag. But, I'm so happy where the Hot Tag is at right now. It's going, it's been mentioned on huge shows like WWE The Bump. I've been on What's Next and NXT shows. So it's definitely cool to see the start of it and where it was at before and now where it's at right now.
Have you reached out to any advertisers? Are people influencers reaching out to you? Like, what kind of relationships are you forming or are in the works? Because this is super exciting.
Yeah, so I have a ton like projects coming up that I can't really talk about right now.
Nope.
I'm just so excited to see where things are going right now. I feel like a big part about this business is connections, knowing people, people who have a lot of experience and you can kind of get advice from them. That's kind of what I've learned throughout this process of the pro wrestling industry. It's all about connections, and that's what I formed. This summer I really want to take the time to hone my craft and work on everything that I've been doing, and I feel like I've done that a lot. Reached out to close friends, and I'm like, hey, can we go over this? Like, can we jump on a Zoom call and go over this? Or like, I'll ask a friend, like, hey, I'm like trying to work on this. Do you have any advice? Like, is there a video? Is there a book? Like, is there something that I can do to work on my stuff? So I feel like it's really the connection. So I've done previews for WWE pay-per-views with good people that I know in the business, so I'll connect with them. And also, like I said, I interview wrestlers and other people in the pro wrestling industry, so I'm getting connections with them.
I love it. No, I love where all of this is going. If there's ever anything that I can do to help, or if you need to come back on in the future, it's just so exciting to see somebody that is putting forth the effort like you are. And, you don't necessarily need a plan B. It can just be looked at as another extension or another hat that you wear in your career. When you were this girl, was it the wrestling and the actual sport that caught your attention, or was it the lights and the camera? Was it the glitz, or was it the clothing? Was it everything? Like, what was it that really caught your attention of, I want to be in this?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I really think it was the part seeing these people put on this ginormous show, a performance, and put like having this character and like seeing the reaction of the audience and like making the audience like so happy. But it's also for the wrestling, like, who's gonna fly off the top rope? Like, how cool is that? But really, it's the part of how the people that they were inspiring me, and I was like, oh my god, I want to have that experience with somebody else. Like, so the part that I found so interesting about watching wrestling was seeing how the wrestlers, they were able to make the fans so happy. And I don't know why that part was so interesting to me. It was just so cool to see like the reactions of fans, and I wanted to bring that to somebody else. I feel like what was so important to me while watching wrestling was if somebody had a bad day and they go to a wrestling show, their mood is immediately changed and they're happy and they're excited to watch their show. They're almost like in this escape, or they're watching wrestling, they're watching this story. I found that so intriguing and different. So I wanted to bring that on to somebody else, and I still want to do that.
We are thankful here at Russo's brand for having Miss Izzy come on the show and inspire us with everything that she's doing. And she's still in school. I think I picked up a little bit of that, doing all the work, all the homework, everything that goes with that, and still making time for all of us. So we always clap at the end. Watch my bad arm. Watch my bad arm. You can jazz hands. You can clap. Give a little clap. You clap at the end. Whatever you want to do.
It's already very intimidating coming into wrestling locker rooms, even if you're like current. My parents are the same way, my sister's the same way. We're a very extroverted family. We like to talk to everyone. So it's not me being fake, it's just like I like to see what everyone's up to. And on came Nikki Bella. And I was so like entranced by her. I just knew, I thought she was gorgeous. And I was watching Nikki Bella and I was like, dang, I really think that I could do that. And I kind of started procrastinating, Googling Nikki Bella. I found out she used to be a soccer player. I used to be a soccer player. And a lot of the things that she did growing up were a lot of the things that I did too. So I'm like, oh shit, can I swear?
Oh.
Okay. Ring of Honor, Impact, and NWA. And they all hired me. So for the, which is, I feel it's unheard of until kind of this year. People started doing it, but they hired me, so I was doing the independent scene as well as 3 TV companies for this entire year.
So wait, but you didn't have like obviously it's not an exclusive contract.
Yeah, so I asked them if I could be a free agent with all companies, and all 3 said yes. I mean, one, I have a lot of really normal friends.
Okay,
I think in just show business in general, if you don't have people to bring you back down to earth, then you're up in the clouds with your head up your ass. Yeah. I guess like my greatest moment that I had was every now and then we have visitors that come down to the Performance Center, and I hadn't been called up to the main roster yet. And Paul Heyman came down to the Performance Center. He said, there's an optional promo class. Optional is not optional. And I get in the ring and I cut my promo, and he was like, I'll never forget it. He looked at me and he was like, "You got